Today we're going to be talking about memberships, which is a topic near and dear to my heart. So establishing the right memberships. Memberships can be defined as the amount of money that you charge for your services, but understanding that it requires much more than just a simple definition. Baked into memberships are indicators to your potential customers or members about how much you value your brand, product, and your other members. It's one of the first things that can push a customer towards or away from buying your membership. It should be calculated with certainty as to the value that you provide to your members. With it all, let me just make this change. Sorry. Okay. So TLDR. TLDR is internet talk for too long, didn't read. Some of you may have seen that around. It's a common phrase used, and it's kind of sad and dangerous symptom of the malfunctions caused by the internet tsunami. Maybe I'm sounding like a grumpy old man now, but it's effectively this checklist mentality that's dangerous and easy to adopt, and it's kind of dangerous to membership-based organizations as well. Enough with the build up, wrap this up, let me check it off. I've got to get things to do. Let's categorize it and check it out and quickly get on to the next thing. Come on. Too late. TLDR, too long, didn't read. Give me the summary. Let's move on. Thus, the Twitters and Facebooks and 20-second grabs of really comprehensive things. Making complex things simple and simple things complex is obviously dangerous territory. So two things, there are thousands of items, or thousands of times as many things available to read as there were a decade ago. It's possible that in fact there are millions as many things going on in our world than there were a long time ago. And now that everyone can participate and learn and interact and generally make noise, everyone might do that. And many people already are making lots of noise. So it's really, really easy to get confounded with so much stuff that you really just want a TLDR, a summary of all this noise. So there's too much noise, too much stuff, and generally useless stuff cluttering our lives these days, which is why we all feel we don't have enough time. When we had trusted organizations, it was easy, trusted news sources and trusted organizations as well. We had limited choices. We read what we were supposed to read. We read what we trusted, regardless of how long it was. And because the curator was taking a risk and promising us it was worth it, but no longer, now it's up to us to figure that sort of stuff up. And the reason that I'm getting on this soapbox, I'll thread it all back into memberships, but it's really, really important to acknowledge upfront as to the world that we're in today. With it all. So TLDR, want to help society, join Rotary. Well, not anymore. You don't have to do that. You can just contribute with a like on Facebook. Want to play in sport, join a club? Not anymore. Maybe you're just joining CrossFit for a day or contributing, going for a run or using Strava to ride with your mates instead. Want to fly remote control helicopters with others that do that? Join a club. Well, not anymore. Maybe you can share videos of that on YouTube with each other or a Facebook group. Want to do yoga? Join a yoga studio? Not anymore. There's drop-in classes and all sorts of other tools that you can use to spread yourself around to different studios. It's a different world that we're now in. Time to attention is really, really limited. And so you don't get an entire year to run a season anymore. That's why there's all these short form sports coming on, T20 in the cricket and instead of test matches and so on. People no longer listen to long lectures or read long form of anything really. They're all bite size, and there's a rising tide of shorter and more amusing wastes of time, as you might have spied already. And shortened forms lower the bar, but it also makes it really, really hard to deliver much as well, which is why it's really, really hard for membership organizations to deliver and you've got to think really, really deeply about your place in the world with all this. So membership organizations still exist in the world, and there's a really good reason why they need to continue to exist, and they should keep existing. And that is to give me something long and worthwhile, but make sure it is genuinely worth my time and my money for that matter. So why join an organization? And the reason I'm talking about this is because I hope that your organizations, your membership organizations, are taking the time to reflect and review on why you exist. Because many organizations don't. Many organizations just keep doing what they're doing and just go from 1 month or 1 year to the next without thinking about it or reviewing it. And the real big question is, what value are you providing? We work with big national organizations through to small community gardens, but the question is absolutely the same. What value are you providing to your members in exchange for their dollars and for their time? So realistically, people can break down what value they're getting from you for their membership in a bunch of different ways. So first of all, it's a substitute. People see it as an alternative way to connect to people. It's a reasonable way to reach a hard to reach or high value group, a group that you really, really value. So it could be a way for me to connect with other remote control helicopter club people, because it's really, really hard to engage with others that are into that really niche hobby, and they've got really interesting information that I can only get from hands-on experience, perhaps, of meeting up in person. Bragging, it might be bragging rights. This means that the member isn't really focused on your products or services, but instead wants the cachet, the affiliation that they can mention to others. There's a bunch of those sorts of organizations where, for example, I'm a member of the Australian Institute of Company Directors, and a lot of that is for cachet. For rightfully or wrongfully, many people brag that they're a member of that organizations because it thinks that they get more kudos in the workplace as a result of it. Sort of a reverse endorsement. The fact that you're a member gains you authority with those. So you know, perhaps I've got a better chance of being a director of some organization by the mere fact that I'm a member of that organization. Could be because of influence. It might give you a chance to influence the organization that you're a member of. Being on the board or the committee carries a whole lot of cachet with that. Maybe just being a member gives you influence into political organizations or something of that nature. You know, there's a reason why the local politician, the local mayor, is a member of the local football club or cricket club or something along those lines, because it can give influence to that broader audience. It could be inspirational. So it might be a useful way to inspire yourself to do more. Maybe it's a great way to, you know, join your yoga studio, yoga club, because it's a great way to inspire you to go to more yoga classes. It could be for a way to inspire you to ride your bike more. Being a part of something with like-minded people, like-minded peers, helps you focus and push yourself to greater things. And it could be sponsorship as well. So it makes the CEO happy and earns the organization a seat at certain sorts of tables. Past players is a great example at your local football club. They get to buy tickets at the corporate lunch and invite their company and puff up their chest a little and invite their employees and things like that, and press the flesh, so as to speak. So there's many more ways to come up with this. Valuing a membership is actually really, really hard, and there's lots of different ways to cut that up. In general, if you're clear about which of these 5 things you're shooting for, most memberships are a bargain compared to their short form alternatives. It's much nicer to meet in person. You often get far more value meeting in person and doing things rather than just competing via a Strava or something of that nature. So they are actually really, really good value. And I see a lot of organizations, Tidy sees a lot of organizations that charge far too little for their memberships because of fear of that it's going to be too expensive. Mainly it could be because of legacy, that they've only ever charged $10, so they can only ever charge $10. which is just false. But it's also because people don't reflect and review on this question of valuing things. We've got plenty to choose from, but what we need is a membership that's worth the effort to hand over my dollars and be a part of. Which leads me to willingness to pay. It's a big question that organizations need to ask around building their membership. So why have a membership? Like, how are we going to value this thing? So willingness to pay is and a little bit of economics in here. So apologies to the economists in the room. But willingness to pay is the maximum price that a customer is willing to pay for a product or service. Willingness to pay varies depending on the context, the specific customer in question, and can fluctuate over time. And as a result, willingness to pay is usually represented as a price range rather than a single dollar figure. Willingness to pay can be calculated by dividing the maximum price a customer is willing to pay by the price of the product. Willingness to pay, as we'll go through, is really, really important to think about because it can often be a lot higher or different to what the committee or board traditionally has thought about their membership. And we'll get into some of the factors that affect willingness to pay. So going through these 6 areas, first of all, state of the economy. If that I word in the news at the moment, inflation hits and everyone's doing it really, really tough. Obviously, the state of the economy won't let people open their wallets nearly as much as they otherwise could or would have previously. How trendy in season an organization is, or even, the product, the events. I call membership organizations events, their products quite often. So how trendy or in season is that? So CrossFit Studios is a great one that was very much in season, in vogue a few years ago. Similarly, sports organizations have a summer period and a winter period. They have seasonality with it all. And I know, like, our local community gardens have definitely gone through a trend period as well, hopefully long term, but it's still a trend one way or another. Customers' personal price points. So everyone's different. Everyone thinks about these sorts of things different. The way that I value $20 is going to be different to the way all of you value $20. So that's something that needs to be considered. And circumstantial needs in different consumers as well. Maybe I have 6 kids and $20 is a big, big stretch. Maybe I have no kids and $20 is a drop in the ocean. Circumstances that are well and truly beyond your capacity as an organization to understand or control, for that matter. Rareness of the organizational product. So that example before, the Australian Institute of Company Directors was a very rare organization in sense that there were no other Institute of Company Directors giving courses on how to be a great director, company or non-profit director. That was a very rare organization. So as a result, they could charge $800. Now they're finding a lot more competition in the space in the last 24 months. So I dare say that the rareness of that organization is dropping significantly as more and more other professional bodies start to offer the same or similar sorts of courses. So the rareness of that organization is dropping. Similarly, your football club isn't nearly as rare because there's a footy club in every other suburb, whereas one of our customers, United Nations Australia, there's only one of them. So there aren't too many other groups like that. So they're a different sort of organization and a bit rarer. And quality of the membership product. Obviously, what am I getting in exchange for that membership, which goes to that value question before. What events or products am I getting out the other end of this membership that's of value to me in those different ways that we spoke about value? So this is an example of quality of that product that they're giving. So this is Netflix and Disney and the willingness to pay. So willingness to pay is a very common economic calculation that we use with products that you're all familiar with, Spotify and Netflix and all these sorts of subscription platforms that you're used to. TidyHQ ourselves, we've gone through this ourselves with this. Willingness to pay varies based on all of those factors. This example of Netflix versus Disney. Netflix, this is in USD, has a lower price because the quality and sort of back catalog of Disney is regarded much, much higher than that of Netflix. So the willingness to pay for a monthly plan was much higher with Disney than it is with Netflix. Interestingly, the $20 threshold for these sorts of services is a threshold that's quite commonly known, in that once it gets over $20, it requires a different level of cognitive load to think about, is that subscription worth it? Whereas things under $20, people typically don't bother investigating too much when they see it on their bank statement. They sort of shrug and say that that's okay. That's why you'll rarely see things like Netflix and Spotify, etc., over the $20 mark. A willingness to pay formula doesn't exist. If you ask 100 people what they'd be willing to pay for a product, you're likely to get 100 different answers from those that respond. And we've found this ourselves with our own platform and trying to price Tidy. We get huge ranges from nothing through to tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. So there is really quite a range. There's not an exact willingness to pay formula. That doesn't mean that you can't calculate a willingness to pay and have some really deep thinking as to how your audience is potentially viewing you and what you should be considering when reflecting on your price points for your membership. Like I said before, we see a lot of groups that just have a legacy price point that's just always been that amount. So that's what it's always going to be. And they don't think through, how much is it costing us to run this membership? What value are people getting out of it? Who is typically our audience? What could our audience be? Who could we be following or chasing after with it all? But there's 3 factors to getting an accurate customer's willingness to pay. Market research, so competition tends to drive prices down. Like I said, so many football clubs around the place, you can't charge hundreds and hundreds of dollars more than the next local football club, because all the kids or all the parents are going to go to that one probably instead. Customer research, the market for a membership may be great, but that doesn't mean the market for your membership is necessarily great. A product that fits the market better will enjoy a higher willingness to pay than one that doesn't. So if you're offering better events, better services, perhaps more cachet with your audience, then you can charge a higher price for that membership. And the last one is really, really useful. We don't see too many member organizations do this too often, but ask your customers through direct and indirect surveys, and just ask them how do they rate your organization, and what else are they paying for, or things of that nature with it all. Quick question from Gordon Spargo. How do you differentiate your membership fee when it's part of a composition of other costs, i.e. insurance and affiliations with Oz Cycling? Most clubs' fees represent less than 10% of total fees. I might swing back to that one, Gordon, given that it's part of Oz Cycling, which is a very different beast to a lot of organizations. But it's a really great question. I really think it comes back to your products and what you're offering with it all. But maybe we can revisit that offline, if that's okay. Influencing willingness to pay. Value proposition influences your willingness to pay. Obviously, it's most critically, it's what the member values, which will drive ultimately that willingness to pay. Brand awareness boosts willingness to pay. If nobody knows about your fantastic membership, then nobody's going to care. If using that AICD example, previously. That was very well known. People would put it on their LinkedIn profiles and things of that nature. So it just boosted the cachet and boosted my willingness to pay for this membership. And influencer marketing and social proof increases willingness to pay. So opinions of others do matter to humans, broadly speaking. And so when I see my mates joining that football club, well, then I'm more likely just to get involved with it. Similarly, if I go to a networking event, or if I go to some other organization, I see people that I admire or I respect in that organization, I'm more willing to pull my wallet out and open it up and be a part of it as well. Influencers, regardless of what you think of Instagram, they tend to work at one level or another. So moving on to Tidy. So how to execute and move those sorts of things into a tool that can help you run your memberships. So first of all, looking at TidyHQ memberships. So you would have gone through memberships. If you don't have access to the memberships module, get in touch with your administrator and they can switch on the memberships module and give you access to the memberships module. Before we get into the different areas of memberships, we'll just run through some terminology, because it's really, really important to understand the hierarchy or the makeup of TidyHQ and how memberships are structured, because like most things, it sounds really simple, but once we get into the complexity, it's really, really handy to have these sorts of the understanding of how memberships works in your head. So first of all, a member. So in Tidy, everyone starts life as a contact and has a contact profile. They can then, I think of it as, hold a membership token. And anyone that has an active membership token is regarded as a member. So when a contact has no active membership or no active membership token, they're typically just referred to as a contact. Although since everyone is a contact, this term's interchangeable. So a membership is an instance of an active membership level. It's possible to have many memberships for a single contact and many contacts for a single membership. For example, you can have a family membership with many members. Considering a basic family membership with 2 adults and 2 children, this would count as one membership with 4 members. So one of the things that people get caught up on is the reports dashboard showing how many memberships they have and how many members they have and why that's different. Well, this is part of the reason why that is different. A membership level. So a membership level holds all the information about a membership. So these are all the rules effectively surrounding that particular membership. The description, what date rules, how long it runs for, does it auto renew, what notifications are going to get sent out at when, what price it's going to be, what information you're trying to collect with it. That's all possessed within the membership level. Memberships are based on membership levels and members are assigned to memberships. And last, I promise, is subscription. So a membership is made up of multiple subscription periods. So each time a contract renews, they are obtaining another subscription. So Isaac might have a gold membership, but he renews it every 12 months. So he gets a different subscription period within that membership throughout the course of the time that he's a member with the organization. So a contact could have a membership of an organization that spans many years, but the subscriptions would be for the individual membership periods. So he could have a subscription period in 2018 to 2019, 2019 to 20, et cetera, but he just holds the gold level membership. I hope that's all making sense. So setting up your membership level. First of all, going through some organization settings. I spoke about it in the last webinar about your CRM contacts database, but a contact ID. A contact ID is often referred to, different organizations have different terminology around this, but most call them registration numbers or membership numbers. The system, as you can see in this little screenshot down the bottom here, Under settings, contacts, you can set up your contact ID number settings. So the system will automatically generate ID numbers for new contacts. You can prefix that contact ID number with a specific, in this case, WSA. And the next contact ID number, you can overwrite this, but you can see what the next sequential number that's going to be provided to a contact is going to be here. So you can import existing contact IDs as well by, I might show you in a second, but with the import field, import CSV field, there's a drop down for contact ID once you've generated, once this has been switched on. So you can import your existing membership IDs or contact IDs into the system as you want. So areas of a membership level. So when you set up a new membership level, I'll skip through this because I know if you're here, you probably have already done this. But to set up a membership level, we set up the membership details first. So this is the value. This is where you're really illustrating the why as to why I'm going to put down my hard-earned to make this happen. So your name, the description of the membership. In here, you can adjust the formatting. You can add further pictures, maybe sponsors logos, whatever you like. You can add a cover image there as well. So that will show a banner image similar to like we have with events, which can spice up the membership level as well, make it look a little bit more professional if you like. Second area is the pricing area. So plan type could be rolling or fixed, which I'll go into in a moment. And the length of period that each subscription period within that membership is going to be. So it could be every 3 months, every 12 months, every 4 weeks. It's up to you. It's either going to be an individual or family membership. I'll get into family memberships in a moment. How much you're going to charge for it, which finance category it's automatically going to be dropped into. So we're trying to do the treasurer's job in here. And automatically renew. So if you check that box, people will see as they check out that they're going to get charged again at the end of that subscription period for the same price. And members can switch that off within their member profile. The third area is the registration form. So you can add as many contact fields here as you want. Like we spoke about in last week's contacts database webinar, you can add as many custom fields, as many types of custom fields as you want, and you can then add these to the membership field options as well for the registration form. You can require an agreement. You can rename that agreement to waiver, terms, whatever your legalese tells you you should in there. A quick one about defaults. The default waiver text is under organization settings, but the default only applies to new memberships. It doesn't overwrite existing memberships. So if you want to adjust, and a lot of organizations have different agreements based on different memberships, you can have different ones like that. The fourth area there is member messages. So what notifications are going to be sent to members as they go through this membership cycle. An initial welcome email can get crafted. You can customize that with merge tags, so you can personalize it a little bit. You can send renewal reminders X number of days before the membership expires. You can send up to 2 further reminders. We limit it to 2 because spam is not a nice thing. So we limit it to only 2 renewal reminders. And there's other notifications, renewal success. So if they successfully renew, you can say, great to have you back again. Look forward to having you along to some events. We'll pretend COVID doesn't exist. Or if they fail to renew, you can send an expired notice to say, sorry to see you leave. If you ever change your mind, let us know. And you can send expired reminders as well. Again, you can send a maximum of 2 further expired reminders saying, hey, Isaac, you really have forgotten to pay again? Are you sure? Type of emails. You can set all those sorts of things up there. 5 is admin notifications. So you can notify specific administrators on different types of memberships. So for example, at my football club, we'd have past player memberships and they would go to the past player liaison person. And for specific league players, they would notify the head coach and so on. Similarly, with another organisation I'm on with Women's Sport Australia, we notify different people for honorary memberships versus corporate memberships. So the right person can get on the front foot with them and give them a call personally and things of that nature. So they can be, take advantage of it. We see some organisations, windsurfing comes to mind, which would send membership details directly to their insurance, to their insurer. So they'd have live feeds of member information going directly to their insurance group. So they knew they'd be covered. Access and sharing. So you can adjust the visibility of these memberships. So there's 3 options, which is throughout the entire platform, as you might have noticed, it's a standard. Visible to administrators only. So that means that only people that log into the back end of your Tidy account can see it. They're really good for life memberships and things of that nature, where you don't want Joe Public to be signing themselves up for a life membership. You can have groups. So you can have a membership that only specific people can see. They need to log in order to see that membership level and then register for it. Groups like Rotary clubs and groups that want to vet people, so they want people to apply for a membership. Once their committee approves Isaac that he's a good fellow and that's who they want in, they then send him an invite. They add him to the contact group and then send him an invite to the proper membership application form. So you can use Visible to for those types of memberships. And then we have public, Joe Public memberships, where anyone can find the membership and then register themselves for a membership. You can also auto add members to specific groups if you want. This is somewhat defunct now with our advanced filters, which I'll go into in a moment, but you can do that there as well. And Facebook Pixel ID. So if you want to advertise your memberships on Facebook, you can drop in your Facebook Pixel ID so you can track the success of your Facebook advertising campaigns that way. Bulk importing, I'll try and get through this real quick because otherwise we'll be here all day. But bulk importing, ideally you're starting with a greenfield space. So ideally you don't import your old members into memberships. Just import them into contact groups for communication purposes. If you do need to import them into memberships, which is reasonable, you can do it this way. So you can import from a contact group that you have already. So you need to import that membership into a contact group. You then choose which membership you're going to drop them into, that group of contacts into. Is the membership a renewal? Yes or no? What day does it start on? You can, with that imported the start date or end date of your existing members and let the system know that their membership should start from that date. Payment status, so have they already paid up for that, or are you awaiting payment, which would create all these outstanding invoices for everyone that you can then follow up on, and send memberships a welcome email after import, which is fairly self-explanatory. And I do realize I'm racing through this, so if you have any questions, let our support or onboarding team know and we can give you a hand with any of this. Family memberships. So family memberships, as we saw on the membership level screen, one of the drop downs is individual or family. From the drop down, if you hit family, you'll get this additional set of membership price options for you. So you can charge per adult and subsequent adults. And you can also charge per child. You can have different prices for child 1 versus child 2 versus child 3, etc. You can make the child member optional. So some organizations only have 2 adults joining, but they're a family. So you can make the child member optional with it all. We use the terminology adults and children because they may not be parents, they may be uncles and aunties and grandparents and those sorts of things. So the terminology that we use is adults and children. Similarly, with the registration form, you can add as many of those fields or custom fields that you want into it and make them optional or required. And similarly, you can add the adults and children to different groups or contact groups as you want. Bulk importing into family memberships is possible. You just need to make sure that you're importing the adults first. So create a separate spreadsheet with just the adults, import them in first, then import the children, and have the adult under the drop-down parent guardian email. And the system will automatically look at that Isaac@TidyHQ email address and track that that child is attached to that person and now the adult with it all. As a result, family memberships, so on the contact profile side, the first screen at the top there, that's what it looks like. So you can see who the relationships this person has. So you can see that Lauren there has an adult to adult relationship with this person, and there's 3 children associated with this profile. On the member facing side of the profile, so this is what the member sees in their member portal. They can see that they have a family membership on the left-hand side when it's active to, and they can view more details. They can see the digital membership card if that's something that you have in there as well. They can also click this toggle, which is this drop down, so they can edit, which is really, really important. So by giving them an adult to adult relationship or an adult to child relationship, you're also allowing the primary adult to edit and adjust the profiles of the linked adults and children. So from their member profile, they can drop down into each of their attached or linked profiles and edit their kids or attached adults profiles there as well. Really, really powerful. There's a lot involved with memberships, so apologies if I haven't touched on everything, but that's a fairly comprehensive dive into it all. Reporting. So I'm going to start reporting from the contacts table. So we've put a lot of effort, and we will be continuing to put a lot of effort into advanced filters on the contacts table. Advanced filters is a really, really powerful way to find members. And like I just said, we'll be putting more and more energy and effort into beefing up these advanced filters as we go. So for example, if I want to find all my members in the last 30 days, I can draw up a membership start date is less than 30 days and filter the contacts. I can then save this as a smart group. So one of my jobs on one of my boards is to report who's joined up in the last 30 days or since a certain date. I use these advanced filters to generate that report. So I can quickly go to the committee and say, hey, these are the new people that have joined in the last 30 days. So I can get more comprehensive with this and create additional filters. So I might want to know who has started in the last year, is currently active, and of the membership type, honorary membership. And I can filter this. So now I can see, save this as a smart group. There we go. Save this as a smart group as active honorary members. So anytime contacts comply with these sets of rules, they'll be automatically added to the smart group for me. So it's really, really easy for me to click into it and understand exactly, okay, I've got 43 contacts or members in that fit this criteria. So where to next for memberships? What we're looking to do is create better advanced filtering. So instead of just and filters, we'll also create all filters. And I know, for example, for Oz Cycling, there's a bunch of improvements that we want to do to allow for multiple clubs, especially multiple multi-organizational organizations, where Isaac could be a member of 3 organizations and active in some and not in others, and all those sorts of things. I won't get into that rabbit hole, but more advanced filtering is definitely what we've got an eye on doing. So they're only going to get more and more powerful. They're a really easy, powerful way to have smart, intelligent things feeding in without you having to manually dig them out each time. And like I said in last week's webinar on contacts, you can create smart groups for all sorts of things. So other preferences, like what sort of bike do they prefer to ride, or are they left-handed or right-handed, or anything else that you want to be reporting on. You can create advanced filters and then smart groups, which is saving those filtering rules. Better reporting. So we are wanting to drop in more reporting around, or visual reporting, shall I call it, which is, has our membership grown or contracted from last year? How many people are we retaining as members? All of that sort of information is definitely something that we are hoping to improve over the next 12 months. Ability to purchase a membership along with a shop item or event ticket in one checkout. We call it global checkout internally. This is, again, something that we're pretty keen to make happen over the next, by the end of the year. With it all, different payment options for members at the end of their payment checkout. So paying via direct debit, or perhaps choosing an invoice to pay on instead, are both things that we're wanting to implement. We currently have an API to allow customers to build their own custom membership process. If you know what an API is, that's really exciting. If you don't know what an API is, just ignore that. But it's a way for developers to plug into the back end of our system and really leverage the power of memberships quite comprehensively. And lastly, I just suggest, if you aren't already subscribed to our changelog, please do so. You can get to it via feedback.tidyhq.com. At feedback.tidyhq.com, you can not only see what changes we've made in the platform recently, but you can also see what requests people are making to improve the platform, and you can vote up different requests and also request your own improvements. We definitely keep a close eye on that, and it's part of the big debate as to what we're working on. We look to that and see what our customers are voting up and what they are requesting in order to make some decisions about what we work on next. So I'd warmly invite you to check out feedback.tidyhq.com to see what we're working on. So that concludes the meeting on memberships. That's a really deep dive. I know we've been going for a while here, and we've been talking about, I really wanted to stress, I suppose, the top end of memberships, because whilst Tidy is really good as a tool, it's only as good as how an organization's viewing their memberships, their members, the value that they provide to their community. I know when I was president of a football club, I stressed that, the real value of the club was to the broader community, not just kicking a ball around, which is a really big idea to get their head around. But it really absolutely translates to a broader membership base, which is the key to getting more money in the door ultimately, because people want to support things and ideas that are a bit bigger than them, usually. If you've got any questions, please shoot them through on the chat in Zoom here. Otherwise, the email is support@tidyhq.com, and you can get in touch with us within the platform as well via the little blue button at the bottom right. That's it. Thank you very much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.